Good afternoon. Hey, guys and gals, fans and friends, welcome to the NewLife City Church living room. That's where we are right now.
I like
there you
it.
go.
Man, we have a new announcer. I love this. This is good. So how's everybody doing today?
I'm still alive.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm still working on it.
Sunday.
You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only use the edge.
The edge.
I want to know what's in that iced tea bottle right there.
We're now corporately sponsored by Snapple.
Yeah,
I like
excellent.
it. I like it.
Okay, wow. That was a rough start there.
No, that was a great start. Keep it up, Jeff. What else we got going?
What do we have going? Well, we've settled into a bit of a normalcy. It's a new normal, but we're super grateful for everybody that's been engaged in our online services every Sunday morning. Jacob hates this, but man, that wouldn't go without that guy there. So thanks to you and your volunteers and the team you put together. Really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. It's been really cool to see everybody involved in that. So there are other things going on behind the scenes, though, as we continue to, when this whole thing started, our first order of business was to say, okay, how are we going to keep doing what we're doing? When are things going to come to an end? Well, quickly they came to a screeching halt. They said no more doing things together publicly. That's when we went to the online. However, missionally, we just started getting going on what God's doing among us here at NewLife. And so we wanted to visit a little bit about that, maybe as we're thinking through it, what pieces were put in place, and how did we begin going from, okay, we're doing our services online, now as a church, where do we go next? What's God calling us to?
Yeah, and I have to say, I've been super humbled by the number of people in our church who are just giving generously and caring for the needs of others. There's so many great stories of what feels like the church, how it should be. It's just the church being the church. I think, so that's amazing. I'm proud to be a part of this group of people who are that way. And, one of the things we've all had conversations on is to say, okay, what are the things that we have in place that we can make sure that we fund in our baseline ministry? And our food pantry is one of them. I mean, that's been ongoing. We talked about it last week. And so we know we can keep that going and raise the population of people that are able to attend it, provide the food for the families and the individuals that are in need. And then we begin to think, is there more that we could do in this realm? We talked last week about the artists that are down here and some different ways to help them. There'll be some more information coming about how to help some of the artists in our Crossroads community and to support them, even though we can't have a First Fridays or be a part of that, at least for the near future. And we're pushing into that one. We shared on Sunday about the care portal and how we're going to continue to help. And this is a long-term project for us. So if you can get involved in the care portal, you can email care@newlifekc.org. But I just kind of wanted us to walk through, what are some of the things we've been doing as a church to figure out what more can we do for the Crossroads community. And, if you come down here at all, or if you live down here, you know that there are very few people on the streets.
Yeah, it's spooky.
It is. I mean, it really feels like it's just almost scary. And the only people, it seems, walking around are homeless, carrying their backpacks and that type of thing. And as you think about the coronavirus as it's been spreading, a lot of the things that we can do to help it are to wash our hands for 20 seconds and to make sure that we're clean and sanitized. Well, somebody living on the streets doesn't have anywhere to do that. And so one of the things we began to think about was how could we actually put some sanitation things in place? Could we put a sink and a shower even outdoors? And last week we spent some time working through the question, could we do this? And finding the answers that I think we could put a shower outdoor. We could provide the funding to make this happen. We have the people in place that could build it out and help us with it. And our next step was to talk to some of the larger agencies downtown and say, is this a need or is this some crazy idea? And after a conversation with Restart and their conversation with Hope Faith Ministries, which is down here, they really felt like the shower was not necessary. However, they said we could really use some survival packages. We were not aware of the number of families and elderly who would be coming into our facilities looking for soap and toilet paper and paper towels and other things like that. And so that's one of the things that we've decided to shift away from, as crazy as it sounds, an outdoor shower here at NewLife towards doing these survival packs.
I want to get back to these survival kits or survival packs, but there's a couple things I want to ask you two especially. So I live just north of the river, so I don't experience it quite as much, but Jacob, you live Linwood and...
Yeah, thereabouts.
Ish. And then Troy, of course, you live at Paseo and 22nd and Paseo roughly. So what's been the change over the last couple of weeks, especially at the stay-at-home order? Describe that briefly for people that don't live. You know, we have a lot of people live in Johnson County, north of the river, Independence. What's it like down here?
Yeah, I mean, the building I live in is, most of the people there aren't, it's a pretty low-end building. But I don't spend much time down there during the day normally, at least not anymore because now I have a full-time job and all that junk. So, but there are a lot of people at home, and there's, people fighting and whatever, loud music playing, and so trying to sit there and do my job or whatever is like, all right, this is getting more and more difficult, whatever. But and then occasionally, I'll see people Wayne and Wax, hanging out in the stairwells and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, all right, it's time to, I love that you're here and I love you feel safe here, but you can't be here. You gotta find somewhere else, sadly.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to help those people, but.
But between, because you, again, help us a ton here doing ministry stuff with all the videography, between your place and coming down here, do you see a lot of people, no people, few people?
I don't know that it's really changed a whole lot. I mean, there's people on their bikes, running up and down the Paseo or whatever, and people walking by. I think that there's fewer normal people, and so then the amount of homeless people looks like it's much larger. I think that's some of what it is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've been overwhelmed by the emptiness of the streets.
Yeah.
And it seems that the only people walking around are homeless. Now, I do know a couple contributing factors. One is the shelters are keeping less people in them. And what I've heard, if you're in the shelter, you can't leave. So of the lower amounts of people in there, they're there. But there's not traffic coming from the streets to the shelter and then back out to the streets. They're all staying on the streets. From what I've heard, downtown. So,
how do you, as somebody running a homeless shelter, you obviously have, a huge heart for that type of people. How do you turn them away like that? I mean, I guess that's not new for them, right? They only have so many beds, and so they, of course, have to turn people away. But now it's we have empty beds. We just can't have you here.
I don't think that's a comfortable decision for anybody to make. That'd be my opinion.
Yeah.
And a hard one, yeah. I don't know how they do it. And to be honest with you, a lot of these individuals would find some sort of shelter even at Truman or some of the hospitals. But with the coronavirus and all of the things being taken with that, the average homeless person can't just get in there for a night or a day.
Sure, yeah, they'd have to stay there for whatever, the 2 weeks or whatever.
And they're not allowing them there. So, I mean, if you move around down here at all, it's interesting. Now, as a family, we've been going to open parks, and we've been having to go out to the suburbs to find space. It's night and day different to me. Being in the suburbs, there's families, there's individuals, there's a lot of activity, walking, keeping physical distances. But down here, you just don't see it. And the only thing I could imagine is that there's people that live down here, because the population's growing down here by a lot, is they're doing what we're doing and going out to larger open spaces and not coming and doing their walking, their dogs and all that stuff. There's a few people down here, but it's unbelievable how limited it is right now. So
yeah, so we've seen, we've noticed that, and that's where the idea of as the COVID-19 really hit is the cleanliness, and really washing your hands and social distancing, things like that, and that's where the idea for the shower came from, like you explained earlier. I want to touch real briefly on. Because you made it sound like a 30-minute conversation. Oh, let's see if we can do a shower. And so this we have some great experts here in our church body, and I love that. We have a plumber I know that you consulted with that was willing to put in effort and think through how it would work and what supplies he needs. We have people engaged with the homeless that said, here's what would be helpful. Tell us real briefly, it wasn't a 30-minute conversation with somebody. What had to take place for our church to be involved, to come to the decision then to move next to partner with somebody else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had to kind of do some feasibility to say, could this even happen? Could we afford for it to happen, and put some numbers behind it, and then asking those questions, asking some of the experts whether it could happen, and then beginning to put some thought into like a design, having to spend some time calling around here to see if there's actually temporary showers that could just be rented to bring over here. And then from there, trying to figure out amongst us and others, like, what would this look like? Where would we get clothes? Where would we get towels? What would we do for, taking care of people to make sure we're not passing the disease back and forth to volunteers? All those conversations were happening pretty fast-paced last week. And there was a growing excitement to say, hey, this would be an amazing way to serve our city, to take care of disease and virus, and also give somebody dignity that might just need some, clean socks and pants and shirt and all those things. So when we decided to move on and ask, and to say, okay, is this really a need, or is this just something a church and a group of people in a church thought was a good idea? How do we decide that? We have to ask some of the people who are experienced in this in this part of doing things, and so that's where we reached out there, and super kind and worked with us and spent, it took about 24 hours to come to a conclusion on this, and that was after talking to some of the other groups down here and figuring out, would this be helpful or not? They really said, based on your volunteers and the potential of passing disease back and forth and the need that exists, the biggest need we have that we didn't realize was going to happen was the need for the soaps and the paper products and those types of things. And so they said, anything you could do to help us here would be the biggest way to help us. And that's why I was like, okay, we need to take a quick left turn out of that thinking. We need to listen to the people around us. We are a partner in the city. Yeah. This is not about us. It's not about our name. So we want to be able to collect all these items and then deliver them, and we're not going to put our church name on the package. We're just delivering them, and we're doing it because it's a need in the city. God's called us to serve the city. We want to do it because of Jesus' love for us. We want to love people well, and so it's a route that I think is the right way to go.
Yeah, I was so encouraged when I got a chance to read the letter. So the partners, and we talk in our values of New Life about being kingdom partners, and we want to exist for the betterment of the city. We spent some time not too long ago looking at a passage in Jeremiah that talked about the success of a city happens when it's loved well and we do our part in it. And so these two organizations, one's called Restart and one's called Hope Faith. Restart is a nonprofit organization. I don't believe it's faith-based. Is that correct?
Correct.
The mission statement is super interesting if you want to take a look. And if I read the email correctly, they're trying to protect themselves from illness illness and spreading it to others. Jacob, I think one of your point to helping the homeless, for somebody that ministers to them, to turn them away, my guess would be they're heartbroken to turn people away, but for the betterment of the half of them that they can serve, they have to do it that way. And it's a huge cost, but I know for the best, that's the best choice, would be my guess to answer that question. But they found out they couldn't invite people in for meals. Is that correct? And so they're eating outside. They're serving them outside. And they even said, to their surprise, here is a need that they have found. And that's where they came to us and asked us. And they asked Hope Faith Ministries, and they agreed. And so now all of a sudden, there's 3 of us ministries, and I don't know if they reached out to some others or not, but they've said, hey, partner with us. We'd love to do this together. And I just think that's really cool to do for that we here at New Life can be part of loving our city in this way. So can you tell us a little bit more about, so what do these survival packs or kits look like? And then what are our New Life's next steps?
Yeah, great. So they have asked for 6 items, which I'll do my best to remember, but I think it's paper towels, toilet paper, soap, like bar soap, shampoo, dish soap, and laundry detergent, I think, are the main things that are in that. And that's just things that people have had a difficulty obtaining.
All-purpose cleaners.
All-purpose cleaners, yes.
Lysol, Pine Sol, stuff like that.
Yeah. So what you can do is, if you have any of these extra and you're willing to donate them, you can just bring them to the church. If you want to send an email to support@newlifekc.org and let us know when you're coming. We're typically here. 1 or 2 of us will be here from 9 to 4, Tuesday through Friday. And if it's another time you need to drop them off, just let us know. We'll try to meet you or figure out a way to drop that off. We're collecting it all, and then we'll put them in bags, and we are hoping to deliver them next Wednesday. And so anything you can do. If you would like to donate money, we're actually able to purchase some of these, and we've been able to purchase the laundry soap and the body soap already. So we have all that we need of those things, and got them at a great discount, and just bought it for it all. And so some of those that have given, some of that will go towards it. If you have more that you could just give, $5 or $10 or 20 or 100 towards that, it'll go towards purchasing that if you'd like it to do that.
That's great. We've also engaged our Connect groups, and so they're going to adopt an item or two and just collect as much as you can. We had one of our great leaders reminded me that, well, you can only get like 1 batch of toilet paper every time you go in the store, and so we're kind of figuring out how to do that. But it's like, well, let's get 10 people in a Connect group to each go to 3 different stores, and now we've got 15 hunks of toilet paper, I guess. So if you're not in a Connect group, most of our Connect groups are meeting online, and you can find that information out on our app. And we'd love for you to join us. You can contact the leader first, or just hop in. Most of them have a link to it, and so hop into one of those Connect groups, or certainly contact us just here at info@newlifekc.org if you want more information about that, or track myself or Troy down. So we're super excited about what's happening. Any last comments?
No, I didn't mention them, but we partner regularly with Shelter KC and City Union Mission, and actually one of them, we're able to play our live stream for the people that are there, which is kind of cool as well. So being able to serve that way, and there's been some other ways we've been able to partner there too. So wanting to do what we can. If you have other ideas or you see things, let's vet it out. Let's talk about it and figure out what we can do. We are the body, and so we don't have all 3 of us can't figure it all out, but maybe you have something that can help. So thanks for hanging with us as long as you have.
Your work's reaching the mission, Jacob. How about that?
Yay.
Well, I just want to say thanks for taking a few minutes to spend with us here. We want to continue thanking you and encouraging you to be part of these opportunities that God is placing before us. He's uniquely put us in this position here in downtown Kansas City, and we're really excited about that. Easter's coming up. We're super excited about that. It's going to look a little bit different, but we also know that means in a month and a half or so, we're going to have the most amazing homecoming service when everybody's here together, and I'm already getting excited for that. I'd love for it to be on Easter Sunday. It's going to be a little bit later, but it's going to be great to be back together with all of you, so looking forward to that. So,
very good.
Are you good, Jacob?
Sure. Yeah. What do you want from me, Jeff?
Do you have any impersonations to end us with?
Not that are particularly appropriate, no.
Oh, Family Guy impersonations, huh?
Sure.
That's all, folks.
There you go.
That's not a great Porky Pig, but that was an attempt. So thanks for being with us today, and always fun hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, thanks.